Welcome to the BBC News at 10 for 10 stories. It is the hottest day on record for this month. Temperatures across the UK and London have been in the mid-30s, but an extreme health alert warning is set to hit the UK tomorrow on Thursday. Hundreds of schools, for weather affecting schools and travel. Also, parts of east and south of England have suffered heavy rain, wind, floods from the lightning strike. Hit a house in London. We'll have the very latest on that and speak to Matt Taylor, probably Matt Taylor and Chris Fox also on the programme. Nicholas Jordan's husband has been arrested for 5 years after £400,000 invested. We'll bring you the interview that she had with Laura Kuenssberg related to that. Also, we're trying to figure out who will face Andy Burnham in for the Labourship leader contest. It comes after Secure Summer and Andy Burnham had a secret meeting together inside number 10. We'll bring up to date with that. Also on the programme. England and Ghana is 0-0 after break. Will keep across that game as England look prepare for a spot in the last minute of the competition. Also coming up, we'll have the weather with Matt Taylor tonight. Also on Sports Day, we're going to have some sport headlines from the programme for you. Good evening to our correspondent Jill Hill. Jill was in the programme, yes. Brendan McCullum has been set forward to the squad for the first test match. Also on the programme, we've been up to Scotland's game tomorrow against Brazil. Welcome to the BBC News at 10 and kicked up with the top story. The UK is set for the hottest day on record in June as temperatures hit the mid-30s across London, Northern England. Scotland and Northern Ireland have also seen records breaking as they hit 30 to 31, breaking records since 2021. But the southern and west parts of England saw, in the middle of the night, 200 lightning strikes, thunder, heavy rain, wind, causing floods, disruptions to travel there. Even a lightning strike hit a house, people were evacuated. It's back here. Tomorrow on Thursday, an extreme red warning for heat is going to be put in place. That's got a danger to life, people. That's going to affect schools, pupils, travel disruptions. People have said travel is expected. Don't travel if it's absolutely necessary. Here's our report. Here's a complete report from our reporter, John Watson, has his special report.
Can you bring me some water? You better not be using it.
Go and film him.
Oh, sorry, Mama. Sorry, Mama. Mama.
This heatwave was heralded by a fierce storm which raged across the southern part of the UK. There were thousands of lightning strikes. One of them set fire to a house in Bristol.
Yeah, I saw a very bright flash and a very loud bang. Yeah, it's almost as if it was overhead.
As temperatures climbed today, the warnings from the Met Office got more serious. The effects of the heat won't be limited to those most vulnerable, they say. Changes in working practices and daily routines will be required.
Plenty of water and also plenty of breaks. So work for about an hour, stop for 10 minutes, work for an hour, stop for 10 minutes. Because it doesn't do anyone any favours should they sort of faint with a heat stroke or something like that. So we just manage the work and the heat as we go along.
What's powering those thunderstorms is the same thing that's making the heat particularly dangerous. High humidity levels, the amount of water vapour in the atmosphere, makes it difficult for the human body to regulate temperature and keep cool. When the body overheats and loses too much fluid, it can lead to heat exhaustion, and that can develop into an emergency if it's not dealt with quickly. The symptoms of heat stroke include high temperature, tiredness, dizziness, nausea, and a headache.
Our body has different ways to thermoregulate. We have a more physiological way, but it's got a finite capacity, whereas behaviorally, it's got a near infinite capacity. We can take clothes off, we can go into the shade, we can move to areas in different parts of our house that are cooler, and that's the key thing, is trying to click into the behavioral thermoregulation.
Can I top up any of your water?
Yes, please.
At care homes, the weather now a real threat to resident safety.
Dehydration, heat exhaustion, heat strokes make our elderly residents particularly vulnerable. So we are continuously kind of pushing fluids. We've got regular hydration rounds in the home.
Temperatures in the high 30s in the UK used to be extraordinary. The weather is changing and the unprecedented is becoming less and less unusual. Geraint Vincent, ITV News.
Well, the highest temperature recorded so far today was in London. It reached 36 Celsius, but that's just a warm-up for what's to come. Tomorrow and Thursday, we'll see the current amber heat warning zone extended further north to parts of Leeds. And, of course, the rare red heat weather warning comes into effect as a result of an exceptional spell of hot and humid weather. That covers parts of Wales, the south.
Is becoming less and less unusual. Geraint Vincent, ITV News.
Well, the highest temperature recorded so far today was in London. It reached 36 Celsius, but that's just a warm-up for what's to come. Tomorrow and Thursday, we'll see the current amber heat warning zone extended further north to parts of Leeds. And, of course, the rare red heat weather warning comes into effect as a result of an exceptional spell of hot and humid weather. That covers parts of Wales, the south of England and the Midlands from 9 a.m. tomorrow. Temperatures could reach close to 40 Celsius in London and across the south, meaning an increased likelihood of a threat to life, damage to energy supplies and further travel disruption. The heat is also affecting public transport. Many train companies advising passengers to avoid travelling completely on Wednesday and Thursday. My Wales reporter Rhys Williams is in Swansea for us tonight, as you can see, and there are a lot of precautions in place, aren't there, Rhys?
Yeah, there are, and the disruption's already taking place. Most of the trains on that departure board are already delayed. The next train to London has just been cancelled. There's significant disruption actually at the end of the line of the South Wales Main Line to London, because they're guarding against point failures by locking them in place, because the steel is susceptible to buckling.
Well, as you can see, that reports from ITV News. Let's go to Matt Taylor, who's been in London all day to the South London's been in all day today. Matt, tell us more about the heat. It's going to get more hot going forward. And I guess people have been encouraged not to travel at all costs, Matt. Is that correct? And some tips are to keep curtains closed, windows open, drink plenty of water, have fans, stuff like that. There are a couple of tips that people do when it's warm. Is there any other tips that you are able, or any advice you can give to people over the next couple of days, please, Matt? Alright, Matt, for now, thank you.
I find it quite.
Well, this is an unprecedented spell of heat and humidity underway for the month of June, and maybe for any summer that we've seen. Of course, weather top of the news, and
Because the steel is susceptible to buckling under this kind of extreme heat. And it's not just the heat that's caused problems. Today there's been flooding due to thunderstorms, which caused problems on the Elizabeth line between Paddington and Heathrow, and two in Hampton in southwest London.
And this, of course, is before the worst is expected tomorrow and Thursday. National Rail is advising people to check before they travel. In fact, they're asking people to travel only if absolutely necessary within the red alert area. We're expecting reduced services all over. Chiltern Railways, Avanti West Coast, Great Northern, Gatwick Express, Great Southern, Transport for Wales, the Thameslink. Pretty much every service in this area will be affected. The industry is preparing for potential fires near railway lines and electrical faults in the overhead cables. And of course there are knock-on effects for the roads for this too. Already today the RAC is saying there's been a 10% increase in the number of breakdowns as more people drive cars that perhaps they don't often do because they're usually on the
do need refurbishment and refitting. We're used to, aren't we, the weather being problematic for us in the winter with school closures because of snow, but it's looking like it's going to be an issue in the summer too.
The water levels here at Buell are looking pretty good. They're about the same as this time last year, about 3/4 full, but you will remember there were, of course, some hosepipe bans last year. Now, it's been pretty hot today, and those temperatures are set to increase, and that's really quite difficult for the elderly, the very young, and those with health conditions.
Hi, Vincent. You okay?
Staying hydrated is harder for the elderly and those living with dementia,
Can I get you a drink?
like the residents of this care home in Cranbrook. So during this heat wave, they're being offered refreshments more often, and staff are keeping tabs on how much they're drinking.
With the fluid like juice, water, we try to give it every hour as much as possible. But again, it depends again with the abilities of the residents. If the residents drinks about 200 mils in one go, then we can do it every 2 hours. But for this resident that lacks capacity and requires prompting and full support, we try to do it every hour.
They're also giving more food with high water content like salad and ice-cold smoothies to tempt residents to drink. The South East Coast Ambulance Service is expecting 500 more calls every day as the temperatures continue to rise.
The heat really affects the really old, the really young, and results in dehydration and exacerbations of long-term conditions. What this means is an increase in 999 calls for us for unwell people.
When should people be calling 999 during this heat wave?
What we're saying is 999 should be used for emergencies. Consider other pathways such as NHS 111 in the first instance. But if you are really worried or concerned or feeling absolutely really unwell, then 999 is here for you.
So as some of us enjoy the sunshine, like here in Hastings, experts say we can all be at risk.
There are vulnerable populations, the young, the older population, where they don't sweat as well, or they're not able to get rid of the heat, but also populations where they may be self-medicated or where they're occupational, so they're wearing extra clothing, or there's certain comorbidities that they have. So I think there's definitely vulnerable populations that exist, but I think the key message is that everybody is potentially at risk and everybody can do something to help themselves.
So as the heat increases, we're all being advised to take care in the sun.
And Abby, those early morning storms have perhaps helped water levels, but they've also caused some storm water and sewage discharge into the seas too.
Yes, there were several storm overflow releases into Kent and Sussex bathing sites overnight last night, which essentially means that untreated sewage was let out into bathing sites. And now there are warnings about potential pollution at 3 beaches at Tankerton.
Right, next. Right, Nicola Sturgeon's ex-husband has been jailed for 5 years with £4,000. A Scotland reporter Laura Gordon has the support.
weather.
I think the other thing which, you know, is just a fact of life. I was the First Minister of the country. I was working round the clock most days. You know, I wasn't at home very often. I didn't take much, if anything, to do with the administration of our household. I mean, just to explain how our finances work, we had separate bank accounts. I never had any access to his bank account. He didn't have any to mine. Every month I would pass him a sum of money to cover my share of the household expenses and leave him to it.
But this was much more than the odd thing here or there or routine household items. Some of them were very basic. He even spent a few pounds on new toilet seats or a onesie. But he spent thousands of pounds on watches, thousands of pounds on pens, some of which you were pictured using, expensive handbags as gifts for you, thousands of pounds on several coffee machines. These were a whole series of items that were far out of reach of the normal family.
We weren't a normal family. I was the First Minister of the country. Expensive watches. I never saw those watches. I until they were asked about in the context of a criminal investigation, I didn't know they existed. You mention a onesie. Never ever saw it. A coffee machine. We had a nice coffee machine in our house. We were on salaries that would not have made me question how we could have afforded a decent coffee machine.
And a lot of people might think, okay, it's not that unusual in a relationship that one person does the bills, one person looks after the money, and absolutely, you were very busy. But he bought a Jaguar car worth more than £80,000. That sat in your driveway. But did you never have a conversation
Laura,
about where you got the money for?
I didn't drive. I had no interest in cars. He bought a Jaguar. He wanted to change to an electric car. He told me that, you know, the range on the Jaguar was one that he thought was good. And I know a Jaguar is an expensive car, but we were on high salaries. If he had been, I don't know, I don't want to be flippant about this, but if he'd been, you know, bringing Tiffany diamonds into the house or something, but there was nothing that I saw, you know, there's been, and some of this, if it wasn't so awful and so serious, and I have seen people laughing about it, you know, a pepper grinder worth £2,000. Now, I genuinely don't know whether that is the pepper grinder that I was using in my house, but I also am genuinely not sure how I was meant to know it cost that amount of money. Now, I have been deceived, I've been lied to, I've been betrayed, as it turns out, over a lengthy period of time, by somebody I thought I knew, by somebody I loved, by somebody I trusted and had never been given any reason until the last 3 years to think that I couldn't trust. And
are you angry with him?
Am I angry with him? I don't even think that begins to cover it, because not only has he lied to me and betrayed me, and if this was an entirely private thing, that would be bad enough, but it's more than that. He has put me into a position of real peril. He has subjected me to public vilification, having the finger of suspicion pointed at me, you know, humiliation, allowed me to be seen on camera using things, wearing a piece of, now I can talk to you if you want about a particular piece of jewellery, because it deeply upsets me. I'm now in a position of even some of my birthday presents and Christmas presents have turned out to be a lie. And that's really difficult to come to terms with for anybody in private. But I'm doing this in the full glare of publicity, and I understand why. Because of his actions, I was subjected to a 2-year police investigation. I was exonerated. If there had been a shred of evidence that I had been complicit in this or had known about what he was doing, then I wouldn't have been cleared. But despite being cleared, I've still spent a week with having the finger of suspicion pointed at me. Yes, I'm angry, but I'm also carrying a degree of hurt and I think a degree of trauma about this whole episode. It resulted in me sitting in a police station under arrest. What he has done to me, I think, will take me a very, very long time to recover from.
Do you feel like you are a victim of his?
I'm a working class girl from the west of Scotland. I don't like victim terminology. I will never think of myself as a victim. The SNP is the victim in this crime.
Well, I was going to ask you about that necklace. You were pictured in that necklace on many, many occasions.
It was during the by-election in Shetland in 2019. I'd been campaigning a lot in Shetland, and we went to visit, as part of the campaign, we went to visit this amazing business, the Shetland Jewellers. And I was being shown around the shop, and I stopped at this pendant. I mean, you've seen pictures of it. It's beautiful. Later that night, Peter said to me, "I've got a surprise for you." And I saw you admiring this pendant and gave me it. Sorry. I loved that necklace and I wore it a lot. And this is the other thing. The idea that I would have gone about wearing things that I had known were anything other than what they were presented to me as, a gift from my husband, and to then find out that these were gifts given to me that he bought with the party's money, causes a level of, I don't know, pain, bewilderment. I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm going to try. I'm just not sure I will ever properly come to terms with that.
But for all that time, you weren't just his wife. You were also the leader of the organisation that he was stealing from. And there's one item in particular, a motorhome worth more than £100,000. That motorhome was parked in your mother-in-law's drive for a long time. And yet you say you knew nothing about it. Did you visit your mother-in-law's house then in that period?
Less than a handful of times, probably. But
so
I'm going
you
to
walked past the motorhome?
No, I didn't. And this is the thing. My mother-in-law, or my mother and father-in-law's house, has a driveway in front of their house where we would park our car, and then we'd go into the house. Where the motorhome was round the side of the house, which is not immediately visible in the way that we went into the house. And it's between their house and the next door neighbour's house. Now, I genuinely don't have any conscious memory of seeing that motorhome. If I saw it, I probably would have assumed it was a neighbour's. My mother and father-in-law were in their mid-80s. I would have just not, it would not have crossed my mind it was theirs, and it would never have, why would it have crossed my mind that it was the SNP's, that Peter had bought it?
Well, if you go to somebody's house, a family member, and there's a new vehicle parked in the drive, it's someone you know regularly.
The thing is, it wasn't.
Normal thing to say, oh, that's it. Or even to say, has your neighbour got a new
It wasn't
and it was never discussed?
Never.
Ever?
Never.
At all?
I genuinely do not recall seeing it in a way that I registered it and thought, oh, there's a motorhome.
What did you think it was when you saw in the SNP's accounts in 2021 that shows clearly tens of thousands of pounds being spent on motor vehicles for a political party?
That didn't register with me in the accounts. I would quite like to
seeing it?
I don't remember seeing it. The National Treasurer didn't draw it to my attention.
You don't recall seeing it in the accounts?
No, I don't. As a member of the NEC, as all of the members of the NEC, we would look at the National Treasurer would present them. The National Treasurer would, draw to our attention any items he thought we should.
Right, next. We understand that Sir Keir Starmer and Andy Burnham had a secret meeting in St. Return just hours after Sir Keir Starmer held a cabinet meeting this morning. Our political editor, Chris Mason, reports. I just want to go back to Nicola Sturgeon.
High Court, and Connor, it's worth also noting that this really is quite a sizable moment in Scottish politics.
Yeah, I don't think this can be underestimated at all. Let's remember the man who was standing there in the dock, chained to those prison officers, to those prison guards, wearing handcuffs himself, was the man who for more than 2 decades was at the very top of political life here in Scotland, married to the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon. Peter Murrell was not some insignificant figure north of the border. He was behind the biggest political machine, the SNP, who have dominated power here in Scotland since 2007. So to see him standing there in the dock in such a fashion after admitting crimes of dishonesty, of embezzlement of more than £400,000, and the embarrassment, the shame of it all as well, the long list, the shopping list of purchases that he took part in over the course of more than a decade is extraordinary, to say the least. I mentioned a minute ago the big ticket item, the £125,000 motorhome that sat on his mother's driveway. It could be seen from space, in fact. It was captured by Google Earth images, and that certainly formed part of the police investigation. It never went anywhere. It went 4 miles in total. The intention, Peter Murrell suggested to the auditors and to anyone who asked any questions, was that it was for campaigning. Well, certainly that was never the intention, and the admission of criminality here certainly was that it was for his own personal use. I think it's worth, just before we get into, we've got a guest here, the original complainer in this investigation. I think it's worth just talking you through some of the points that the defence, Peter Murrell's defence, made today. The first time we have heard an insight into his potential thinking, into how he has been feeling in all of this. His defence KC saying he behaved dishonestly, he went to considerable lengths to conceal his crimes. We know that he was doctoring invoices, he was changing things, circumventing systems to try...
Oh. England not gonna no. It's remind you, if England win, they will qualify for the last 32. Let's go live to a fan zone in Hyde Park and join Helen Atkinson. Helen, hello. Alright, Helen, for now, thank you. Let's go to a pub in Birmingham and join our reporter, Jonathan. Jonathan, Southport. Jonathan, good evening. What is the atmosphere like in Southport for the England fans? Alright, Jonathan, for that. Before we go get for sport news, let's just recap our main story tonight. And the weather warning for heat across the UK as temperatures hit mid-30s across the UK. That's the main story. Before we go to the sports centre.
Get right, Vincent, news at 10.
Well, the highest temperatures so far today was recorded in Surrey. It reached 34.6 degrees, and that's just the start. Tomorrow and into Thursday, we'll see the current amber heat warning zone extend further north to parts of Leeds. And of course, the rare red heat warning also comes into effect from 9 in the morning, covering parts of Wales, the south of England and the Midlands. Ellie is at London's King's Cross station, where much of the impact will be felt by rail travellers. And Ellie, what type of disruption are we expecting to see from the morning?
Well, that's it, Gamal. It's still quite busy here tonight at King's Cross with a fair bit of movement, but it's tomorrow and into Thursday that we're expecting to see that widespread disruption. There is barely a train service or a rail company that falls under that amber and red heat alert that isn't affected by the warmer weather. And that ranges really from the advice from those train companies being check before you travel, to expect some disruption, to out and out already cancellations. It's because Network Rail have told us today that this heat really affects different parts. So it's whether it's affecting the tracks themselves, the overhead lines, or the signalling points. What they do is reduce the number of trains that are running on the tracks in the hope that that will lower the overall pressure on the infrastructure and reduce the on-the-day knock-on effect of on-the-day cancellations. There will, of course, though, from a reduced number of trains running, be a knock-on effect on the roads and other public transport services. And such is the expected disruption that the government held an emergency COBRA meeting today, which we found out about just a couple of hours ago. And although we understand the conversation was very much around the wider impact that the heat is having on public life, travel and transport operators were very much also a subject of discussion.
Okay, Elliot, London's King's Cross station, many thanks indeed. Well, as we said earlier, if you think it's bad here, spare a thought for people baking in the furnace of Central and Southern Europe. France recorded its hottest day ever, with temperatures reaching 44.3 Celsius on the west coast. That's almost 112 Fahrenheit, by the way. Nearly all of Spain was under a heat alert, with warnings of extraordinary danger in some areas as temperatures topped 44 degrees in southern Andalusia. In Italy, the health minister declared a red heatwave alert in 15 cities, including Milan and Rome, with 38 degrees recorded in Florence.
It's hard to stay cool in the capital of chic. Paris, like half of France, is under a red heatwave warning. This afternoon, the Eiffel Tower closed to tourists.
It's been really, really hot. I wasn't expecting it to be so bad, especially on the metro and stuff. The windows are so small.
Despite repeated warnings to stay clear of dangerous water, some 40 drowning deaths have been reported since last week. It's only June, and already they've reached record-breaking temperatures. For residents of these apartments in Lyon, it's a cruel numbers game. It's like living in a greenhouse, says Daphne. Tenants are demanding the building's owners install better insulation, a sign of what might lie ahead for Britain, also unprepared for our changing climate. France is beginning to adapt. This new classroom has windows designed to withstand the heat, but the building won't open until next year. In the meantime, hundreds of schools have been closed and lessons cancelled. Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu summoned an emergency meeting. Our entire civil and military security system is on alert, he said. Heat means drought. Already a few fires have started to break out. Across much of mainland Europe, they're suffering from what railway people might call the wrong kind of sun. So hot they need to cool the tracks. In Switzerland, some are warping. In Madrid, the public water fountain is a must-visit attraction. Tourists and locals alike survive as best they can in temperatures forecast to reach 44 degrees Celsius. Nor, in the heat of the night, is there much respite. A long, hot summer lies ahead. John Ray, News at 10.
You may think it's appropriate that tonight's eve of the predicted heatwave falls on the exact 50th anniversary of the start of the famous summer heatwave of 1976. Back then, climate change was not an issue that regularly made the headline.
Thunder and Thomas Tuchel's team and schools by toying with something not quite so impressive.
I want to see a hat-trick from Harry Kane. I want to see Saka in scoring. I'm just so excited.
4-1. 4-1 score. Just carry on attacking.
I'm absolutely confident that we're going to win tonight.
You know, I just feel like football's coming home and that's what it's got to be.
Ghana's Thomas Partey started his first game in this World Cup tonight. He's facing 7 rape charges in the UK and has been...
It's quite pleased he doesn't have one. Sam,
hi, how are we doing?
Talk to me. I'm all right, thank you. Tell me how you're feeling about the current game situation.
Well, it hasn't been a great game so far, has it? But I'm just glad that I haven't paid for a ticket, let's be honest.
I mean, people as of this morning were buying tickets. As of an hour before, they were paying thousands of pounds for them. Are you relieved watching this now that actually, you know, things haven't quite improved for us, but you're hopeful they will?
Well, yeah, me and my friends ourselves were looking for tickets up until about 10 minutes before the game, and it was being quoted at $700, $800, $900, and we were looking at it, and we left it too late, and we were gutted. But so far, it hasn't really gone our way, but hopefully,
Could this be a
watch it now, this might be a chance now.
Another goal, but yet so many misses. And no, not quite yet. Here we go. It's just a frequent happening, isn't it? We're not quite getting it right. But fingers crossed, the next few minutes it can all change. Listen, anything can happen. Ghana have just saved a goal. There are some Ghanaian fans here. But there is so much anticipation that they can try and convert this and translate it into a win. But as yet, no luck.
Okay, Ashna, thank you. Well, meanwhile, in the West Midlands, there's a watch party for the England game as Jude Bellingham's childhood football club, Stourbridge FC. Ben is there for us this evening. Tense times, Ben. How are those watching feeling?
Well, England have just had, I think, their best 2 chances of the game so far, but that first half, I mean, it felt like it was so sluggish, you'd think they would have been playing in here. It is so hot in this clubhouse tonight that fans have had to endure not only the heat, but the frustration of watching England struggle to break Ghana down. I'm going to come over and talk to Andy and Eric. What do you think of England so far tonight?
We showed spells early on in the first half where we moved the ball quickly and closed them down, but our quality in the last...
while Scotland prepare for their last group game against Brazil.
Almost anything is possible these days. But that could...
It's the eve of possibly the biggest game in Scottish international football history, and so there's only one way for the Tartan Army to steady the nerves. Boat party. This colour and fun of the Tartan Army's been their most effective weapon on a charm offensive here. This American travelled 3 hours just to get on board.
Your spirit has captivated the whole nation, and there's no way that I'd miss a party.
But there are signs here, even the Tartan Army's feeling the tension. Every few minutes, they're looking at their phones. Just you checking for updates? There's no Scotland game, of course, but it's for all the other matches. The various permutations of results elsewhere mean Scotland could still qualify even if they lose against Brazil tomorrow.
Somebody had said to me that they could lose by 2 and still go through. But I think on pride you would want at least to do a draw.
You keep checking the table for the third place qualification. You're on
every single day you need to check your results. The goals difference goes for, so I'll be good.
There's 5 results that we need to happen for us to go through, and I think we need... I've got it on my phone actually, but...
Is this what it is to be Scottish right now? Just update, checking all the other results?
I mean, we're actually more excited about other people's results. It's the most Scottish thing ever.
These fans want to witness Scotland trump all past performances and keep their party going. The Tartan Army became beloved in Boston, and now they're making their mark here in Miami. But they're not just here for a good time, they're hoping they're here for a long time, or at least longer than any Scotland fan has ever seen their team last in this tournament before. And right on cue, Scotland's new unofficial national anthem. Getting at least a draw against Brazil is the only way Scotland can guarantee their own path into the next round. But Steve Clarke knows well this is his toughest task against the most successful nation in World Cup history.
For me as a coach to be involved in a World Cup match against Brazil, one of the most iconic teams in the world. First memories of the World Cup for me were probably the 1970 Brazil team, who were absolutely fantastic and great to see for a young boy growing up. And you grow up with that love of Brazil. But tomorrow night we have to not love Brazil and love Scotland more.
The Tartan Army's doing their bit to make that easier. Their march down America's east coast has already been seen and heard around the world. But if Scotland can get out the groups for the first time ever, well, the Scots might just make their hosts' 4th of July celebrations look rather timid. Peter Smith, News at 10, Miami.
Let's just go quickly to this person's and join. At some point it's been New England, one of economies at England. We're going to have to wait to qualify for the round 32 unless they get a goal in the next couple of minutes in that game also. The previously going new has signed a deal, 3-year deal, just a couple of weeks after Kerr McKinnon decided to leave the club.
What's your charge?
100 I found. Just charging.
I'll go and do your charge. And doing. You just spit now anyway, haven't you?
Oh, I want to live or not?
No, I don't know if it's full.
Yeah, Mum did both for me. She said. The weather is set to continue to be hot. As I'm going to see him at back here at 1 PM for business. Have a great evening. Bye.